welcome to ICTBC, our online book club at the Wichita Public Library. I'm librarian Sarah.
I'm librarian Racine. It's good to see you guys today. Today we're talking about Still Life by Louise Penny. And the reason why we're talking about her is because
she's coming to Watermark Books at the end of the month. She will be on August 31st at 6 p.m. Call Watermark Books for more details.
You won't want to miss it. We've really loved reading this book. Actually, we just read Still Life. We were really ambitious this month. We were going to try to read more, but
yeah, it didn't happen. It's the Olympics.
Yes. And it's the dog days of summer, so we were reading about Canada and all that, and then it was like, it made me bitter because I wanted it to be cooler.
I was reading it like on my way to the beach, so I was okay with the fact that it was hot. Okay. But it's okay. We really enjoyed this book, and so we're probably going to concentrate most of our discussion today on Still Life, but we will also touch on some points that I think happen throughout the rest of her series. I'm actually thinking I will pick up the series and keep reading it. I was leafing through one of the later books, and it seems that she follows a lot of the same themes, and the characters that we've come to know and love through Still Life continue to appear throughout the novel, or the next few novels, I think. So I'm excited.
Well, let me tell you real quick about Still Life. It's a story about a small Canadian village called Three Pines. And this village is shocked when the body of Miss Jane Neal is found in the woods. Miss Neal, she was the retired school teacher for the village, and she was a talented artist. She'd been a good friend to most of the townsfolk, so her loss is keenly felt. At first, her death appears to be a tragic accident. It's deer hunting season, but what looks like a stray arrow that's killed her, it wasn't a stray, and it was for her. So
it was murder.
It was murder. So they call in the National Police.
That's not funny. Okay.
All right. Well, they call in the National Police, and Inspector Gamache comes, and he's an investigator. It's like their FBI.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
What the sense that I was getting. He's from Montreal. He's big city, francophone. In Canada, you have the people that speak French exclusively, and then you have the people that speak English exclusively. Right. And I didn't realize until I read this book, what a divide there was in the two populations. So that was kind of interesting.
Same. I did not realize. I mean, you know that they have two languages in Canada, but I guess my knowledge of Canadian culture is I just didn't realize that there was such a divide.
Yeah. Well, and it's clothing. The French dress snazzier. The English people, I think, are more individualistic. It's almost like they're more American than the Francophones. The Francophones are more European, and sorry, that was what I got
No,
from
I
it.
think that's a fair assessment. I just don't think that I thought that deeply about it. So, it's all right.
Well, so we were talking about this small village. She's created this story, and it's kind of idyllic because Clara and Peter are married, and they're both artists, and they're both friends of Jane, and they're, it's like Clara really is the most hurt, but it's funny because everybody is an artist or, in this village, and we were trying to figure out if we'd really want to live there because it's probably like 200 people.
No, I was thinking like 30. It's not a big town, Three Pines. I don't think I could hack it. I mean, it seems like because there was a B&B there, and they would go, and that's where like the detective team stayed, and the very vibrant owners, Olivier and Gabri.
I think it's Gabri.
Yeah. Owned, and so a lot of the things happened at the bistro. That's with the B&B, and so it would be fun to visit, but I think that I would need to get back to the city. I don't do well in.
Well, and it's like eccentric small towns can be really cool sometimes. I mean, I've never lived in one, so maybe I've idealized it. So
I mean, that's...
And I think this all adds a flavor to the book.
I do too.
Don't you?
You know, they've all they don't need all of that contact with the outside. They are perfectly happy to do their art or sell their antiques or...
it's almost like a retirement community.
Yeah, only they're not really all retirement age.
Yeah.
So it's pre-retirement, retirement. You retire from the rest of the world and just live your little idyllic life in Three Pines.
Yeah.
I guess that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Would you live there?
It depends, probably. I would, because I'm such a social person. And it almost, if there's 30 other people that live there and you like them,
That's true.
then it's almost like having 30 roommates.
It's true. I mean, it would be a party
It would
all
be
the
like
time.
friends,
Yeah.
but in the Great White North.
Yeah. That would work.
Anyways, we should stop and ask if there's any questions so far. I love Louise Penny because she could really turn some phrases. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about the inspector, his name's Gamache, Gamache. And we're thinking that's how you...
I don't speak French, so I probably am
And
just not pronouncing it
I
correctly.
took tons of French in college, and usually it's like if you have an E at the end, you're pronouncing the last consonant, but then H, anyways.
So we're going to go with Gamache.
But he's one of those people, and he's deeply eccentric himself at times. I think he's not your typical cop.
I think we get a glimpse of it, but I felt like there was a little bit more to the story that I'm sure that Penny continues to explore through the rest of her books. Because I think you're right. I think he has these little eccentricities that we just kind of get a glimmer of.
Well, he's been passed up for promotion after promotion. One of the quotes about him, he saw Jane, her body in the woods, and her hair had fallen into her face. Mm-hmm. And I think Penny said something like, well, he wanted to reach down and brush away the lock. And it's showing that he's very caring.
Well, it says, one of the first lines that we hear about him, it says something like, violent death still surprises him. And I feel like that is a very telling just descriptor of Gamache, because, he didn't seem, it never sat well with him.
Yeah.
The violent death. Even though, Jane at first we think is a hunting accident. Dun, dun, it's murder. Spoiler alert.
Well, and one of the things about the book, I think we had a huge debate, and I should have looked it up. I'm a librarian and I didn't look it up.
Okay.
Was, is this a police procedural or a cozy? And I think of a police procedural as focusing exclusively on the police person or detective who's solving the case and going through the steps and solving the murder.
Right.
And cozies, it can be from any viewpoint, but you really have that element of, this person, once they're trying to solve the crime to bring the bad person to justice, and it's not violent. Mm-hmm. And this book had some scary parts in it, which actually really surprised me. But
I agree. I thought that the ending was definitely fast-paced, and you got really kind of excited, and your heart started racing. But I think if I were to say, and I don't read a whole lot of cozy mysteries, I've read a few police procedurals here and there, but I would say it's a mixture, because you get a very character-driven, we learn and appreciate the Three Pines. Three Pines, the community is its own character, and plus you get a little bit of that police procedural. You follow the investigation, you've got Gamache, you've got his right-hand man, Bouvier, and then you've got the whole side story of Nicole, who is she drove me nuts. Racing and I were talking about it. She drove me a little nuts.
She's like this young trainee. I pegged her about 24 to 25, and I felt for her because she's one of those kids where it's like she's learning, and Gamache, he's trying to help her, and he's saying, okay, look, ask for help when you need it. you know, tell us you don't know something, you know, all of these things. But then he's like telling her, okay, don't talk. But then she says something obvious, or she breaks the silence.
Attitude. So
well, but
I get what
he
you're
didn't
saying.
say, don't talk because I want this person that I'm questioning to feel uncomfortable with the silence, and they will break it. You know,
Well, but
he could have told her that part of it.
She's
you
a
know,
trainee. She needs to listen to her superior. Listen,
you know what? Didn't you make some dumb moves when you were younger?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
That was 2 years ago for you, whatever.
No. But, you know, I feel like she started out there, and I wanted her character to learn and have that redemption at the end. Maybe she was kind of hot-headed, and she had an attitude through the whole thing, but then I wanted that redemption at the end, and she didn't get it. So I'm really hoping that Penny comes back in some of the later novels and just explores that a little bit further, because I want her to have that redemption.
Well, and I think here was the other thing, is that
I say redemption. It wasn't awful, but
No.
She
wasn't hitting.
She was not very nice, and she just had attitude, and ugh. She was
Well-
not my favorite character.
Here was the thing, though. Gamache wanted people to work as a team.
That's true.
And he stressed teamwork, whereas it sounded like the whole culture of their police department, the police force, was to, you know, who can break the most, cases, who
Right.
can, you know,
Very cutthroat.
yeah, and
Typically.
competitive and non-collaborative. So she's coming from that, and she's not getting it, and it's hard to figure that out sometimes.
I suppose, but there's just these scenes.
We'll
and
agree to disagree.
She's looking in the mirror, and she sees this thing that says, what is she? Oh, you are staring at the problem. And she's looking in the mirror. And so she looks behind her at the shampoo bottles to see if the problem's behind her. I mean, like, that's the kind, she just want to kind of shake her and say, come on, you're just almost there. But she didn't quite catch it.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're just
We
going
can
to have to agree to disagree.
Sorry, fair enough. I
Well,
get it.
I think one thing that we both agreed on this book, I loved how Penny brought in, you know, it's a mystery. It's a murder mystery. Who done it? That
Right.
kind of thing. But she's bringing in, like, a lot of deep thoughts. Like,
Such as.
okay, one of my favorite quotes was, the funny thing about murder is that the act is often committed decades before the actual action. Something happens, and it leads inexorably to death many years later. A bad seed is planted. It's like those old horror films from the Hammer Studios of the monster not running, never running, but walking without pause, without thought or mercy toward its victim. Murder is often like that. It starts way off.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's-
how cool was that? And it's like, that is, you know,
Yeah, you're right.
I could see a lot of, or, you know, most murder mysteries, they're not crimes of passion. You know, if it is, it's done quick. But, you know, those kind of simmering, that's where she's trying to get from, is the inevitable revenge is a dish best served cold kind of a thing.
And she has you guessing right up through the end.
Yeah.
I was just kind of sure that it was somebody else, and I guess we don't have to tell you because we're not really that deep into the conversation who it is, right?
True,
But you're guessing all the way through to the end. Oh, Racine's going to tell you.
Well, the thing that, like, freaked me out about this book, it has a double fake.
It does.
It
Yes.
has the detective with all the people together, and then he doesn't reveal, you know, the...
They do. She does that a lot. Like she'll. There was the thing with Philippe, and he had the item, and the item that was, you know, that's how they knew that it wasn't him, and you know, like, but they never actually come out and say what that item is. We'll leave it to your imagination when you read it, because you should read this book. It's very good. But she does that a lot throughout the book, that where she doesn't actually tell you explicitly what it is. She lets you just kind of figure it out for yourself.
I like
I
that.
kind of did too.
Well, and it was funny because I was called out this week,
Okay.
and this person had me so pegged. I hate tidy endings. I really just cannot. I abhor them. So, you know, it's like, that's not life to me.
Yeah.
You know, tidy, you don't get everything wrapped up, all of the things wrapped up. there's got to be a little mess in my endings for me to be satisfied. And for so that makes me not a very good mystery reader. Because you want your mystery to be...
And this was fairly tidy, but I feel like there was that element of
there
mess.
were some elements of mess, and maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Is that our new, like, hashtag, elements of mess slogan? Join us for ICTBC.
Yeah.
There'll be elements of mess. No, I'm just
well,
kidding.
no, because, I mean, I do enjoy reading a variety of books, and, you know, I don't want to be snobby and not... you know, miss out on a good book just because I need some mess in my life.
Yeah, good point.
So,
let's see here. What else were we gonna talk about?
the other themes.
I
mean, it's kind of amazing that she's writing a mystery. And we have these themes of, like, Francophone versus the English speakers. There's a theme of parents versus kids and the angst between the two.
And there was one particularly kind of heartbreaking scene between Philippe Croft and his father, Matthew, which you don't really get the full grasp of until later, like towards the end. But it was, I thought,
it's a 14-year-old kid, and his dad goes, and you can tell that the dad, you know, he's a blue-collar guy, and he's like, son, you know, the kid's been kind of weird for the last 6 months. And, you know, he almost got pegged for this murder.
Like, yes, that is dad.
Yeah. He almost threw
alert.
his dad into the, you know, under the bus. But, you know, his dad comes into his room and says, son, you can tell me anything. I love you.
Like, I'm not angry, just like, what's going on? And there's this moment where he's about to say what's bothering him, and then he just rolls over and puts back to Eminem on his Discman. If that gives you any idea about what time period we're talking about. Discman.
Actually, this came out in 2006.
I know.
That speaks a lot to a book that came out 10 years ago and has continually been on our holds list.
Yeah.
I mean, people love this book, so I'm so glad that we read it.
I am too.
Yeah.
I don't normally pick up new authors like this, and I'm glad that I did. It kind of breaks me out of my comfort zone.
Are you a reading snob too?
A little. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Let's see. Do we have any other final thoughts? I think we're getting a little close on time. Do we? I don't see a time on our thing. We're not close on time?
Oh, no, you're fine. I mean, a few more minutes.
Okay.
Well, we can wrap it up, or we can...
I think we need to talk about our next book.
I want to talk about it. Okay.
Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
This is our next book for, what is it, September?
September. Yeah, September. We'll post the date here.
And so this book, if you haven't read it already, it's very fast-paced, it's exciting. It is actually a young adult novel, but it's been very, very widely praised in the adult reading world. And the movie actually comes out in September, which is kind of why we chose this book. But the book, I can probably say safely, is just amazing. It's innovative because he found the pictures, the author, Ransom Riggs, found these pictures at flea markets, and they're kind of creepy and weird and random, and he then builds a story around them. And my sister actually tried to read it on her Kindle, and it was not as good because you don't get the same picture to text. I mean, the pictures are definitely a major part of the story.
Oh, they're creepy. It's cool.
So it's about this boy. He experiences something rather traumatic, and then goes to Wales to kind of explore his history and his familial past, and ends up finding that the world has all of these things that he just never imagined. And it's magical, it's exciting, it's kind of scary, but anyway, it's really great. And so I can't wait to talk about this next month.
Yeah, and for Louise Penny, I've got some read-alikes. If you like her, I would pick up Alan Bradley's books, The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, 5-Year-Old Sleuth, Flavia Deleuze, and she is eccentric and scary.
Oh, good.
I mean, you know, she's this young kid and she knows all about poisons. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to meet her.
Well, But they were wonderful. They're delightful. It's a great series. Elizabeth George, British, same kind of introspective sleuthing that Penny has. So I'd recommend that. Craig Johnson, if we're talking about juxtaposition of detective styles, the guy that lives out in the Wyoming and has 5 counties to be sheriff over, and he gets the girl from, I think, Philadelphia, who cusses like a sailor.
Oh, fun. So it'd be like a Western mystery, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but it's that same kind of procedural, and out in the open, in the middle of nowhere kind of a thing.
So we will put a list of these read-alikes on our website, and we'll share them here on Facebook, and we'll share them on Twitter. So definitely check that out at wichitalibrary.org, and we'll see you next month. Do you have anything last?
I'm librarian Racine.
I'm librarian Sarah.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.